Thank you for staying with Daybreak and Citizen TV. Let's start off our State of the Nation discussion. Now I'd like to hear your views at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Let me introduce my guests one more time, starting from my farthest right, Honorable Richard Onyonka, Kisii Senator. Thank you for making time.
Thank you, Trevor. Good morning.
Good morning. Honorable Danson Mungatana is here, Tana River Senator. Asante sana for making time.
Good morning.
And Honorable Tabitha Mutinda, nominated Senator. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
You're all senators here, and Onyonka, I'll start with you. There's an issue in the counties now, and there's a blame game. The national government said they sent money, then they say there's no money. The Council of Governors says they are owed money. As the people oversighting counties, what really is the situation right now in the counties?
What I would want to do first, Trevor, is that I would look at what the Deputy President, what Honorable Gachagua said, and I would look at what the governor said. For me, I observed the statement that the Deputy President made. I didn't see the connection between the money he was talking about, which was for emergency funding for El Nino, and the money that the governor started talking about, saying 63 billion has not been released. I am convinced that for the first time, I felt like there's some truth in between. That the governor has brought in the issue of the 63 billion, disregarding that what Gachagua was talking about was the 10 billion. That the way I looked at it, he was saying there's 10 billion which we believe we have already sent for emergency in terms of mitigation on El Nino funds and everything.
Yeah.
But Trevor, what comes out very clearly and what is understood is indeed how disorganized the government is. All right, I believe that the deputy, I don't know under the executive orders whether the powers of the deputy president were changed. I believe that there should have been a proper coordinated arrangement between who is telling the public in terms of what is going to happen with El Nino, and indeed where the money has gone to. And indeed, Deputy President Gachagua did not even print the counties that have received the money, and whether he was able to say, look, the controller budget has approved, the treasury has approved, in fact, the exchequer has already released money to these counties. He just said all the money has gone to the county governments, and I think the reason why the governors came back very, very fast is because they know that given the economic downturn and given the stress which is at the local level, if people hear that money has been released to the county governments, and the governors have not done anything about that money and preparedness and organizing plans and making sure that wherever there's going to be flooding or destruction that is happening because of these El Nino rains, that should be taken care of immediately. So again, the government looks disorganized, the government looks disjointed, the government is struggling with who tells us what and who says what, how, and when. Okay. And I think for me, when I looked at the way the governor was speaking, I tended to believe the governors more than Deputy President Gachagua.
Okay. Yeah. Mungatana, is the national government simply disjointed and disorganized, or is it the governors who are taking Kenyans for a ride?
You know, maybe before I say anything, Trevor, I think I'd like to just take this opportunity to say pole to all of us who have been affected, but in particular to Tana River County. Houses have been submerged, cattle, goats, they've been swept away. We've seen schools that have gone under, and we have seen also public facilities that we have invested on for a long time, like hospitals, also affected, dispensaries and so on, market areas. So we have been hit. We've been hit very hard. And the hitting is not the normal one, because I want Kenyans who are hearing me to know that for us, the people of Tana River, the normal flooding of the river, we have no problem with it, because it is part of the riverine ecosystem, and we use it for cultivation. The alluvial soils, when they come from the highlands and the waters recede, we do a lot of farming at that point. So we don't have a problem with the normal flooding. But this one is excessive because all the waters from Kilimambogo Hills, all the seasonal rivers, and everyone is just pouring water. This includes the waters from the Mount Kenya area. So we have received more than the normal supply that we should be getting, and our people are suffering. So before I make the comment, you will remember that I think it was on Tuesday that I moved a motion of adjournment to discuss this matter of heavy rains and flooding as a matter of national importance at the Senate. So what I wanted to say is that please, leadership, this I'm referring to this squabbling between the Council of Governors and the Deputy President. The person who is right, the person who is wrong, for us, it means nothing. What we really need is action on the ground. And it is a very bad thing. It's a very bad show for us to see leadership quarreling when they should be out there doing something about the situation. I don't know about Mombasa, but I know I can say for Tana River County that our deputy governor has been on the ground moving, distributing food and doing this and the other.
And this is not food from the national government?
National government has brought food, okay? And there's a different distribution system, chain system, YAO, which is coordinated by the county government. Not by the county, but by the county commissioner. I mean the county commissioner. And there is the county government effort. So in Tana River, we have the county government doing its part, and the national government doing its part. But also, we have come together as a leadership so that people like Red Cross and other organizations that are coming in to help us, we have said, let us have a coordinated effort to push the support for the people. We appreciate what the national government has done so far, particularly because they were able to help us when now, you know, certain villages were cut off. If you look at places like Wayu, Waldena, areas like Asa, Kone, those areas, the only road that would go to those places was cut off. So even the food that was available could not be lifted. So the national government helped us with choppers. However, we mentioned this, and I will mention it here, that there has been an even distribution of these choppers, because you'll find a lot of them are being taken, I don't know where Faramalim is, but they're being taken to Northeastern, and then we are not getting enough of those choppers within Tana River County. So let us have fair distribution of the airlifting services. But on the whole, for those of us who are feeling the pain, we don't want additional pain of quarrels between leaders. We want the leadership to come together, let everyone do their part, and if possible, coordinate so that we don't have confusion in terms of relief efforts. That will be my comment.
Mutinda, are you seeing a miscoordination in government and county level efforts here? Because even right from the El Nino itself, there's a lot of miscommunication. Is it coming? It's not coming. Then now it's here. The Red Cross is placing the debts at 71. National government, we've given the money to the counties. Counties say we've not received the money. Then all of a sudden the money is not coming anyway. So are you seeing a disjointed coordination of dealing with this El Nino floods here?
Trevor, allow me to start this morning by really condoling with the families that have lost their beloved ones in these floods. It's sad, and we say pole sana. And let me add and say that I really want to appreciate our governor, Nairobi County, Governor Sakaja, for ensuring that he did unblocking of the areas much earlier in anticipation of these floods. And that's why in Nairobi, earlier we used to have floods, but today as we speak, it's a bit different. We are not having that. Something I want to applaud the county. Now, back to the issue of what is happening between our governors and the deputy president. For me, from where I see it, it should be collective responsibility. There should not be blame games. Why? Then because our people suffer. Looking at the money that is dispersed and the money that we, through DORA, through the committee that I sit for finance, that we allocate to the counties, it is clear that the counties should be able to plan for emergency funds.
On their own.
On their own.
Regardless of the fact that they've not been given 62.5 billion. That is all.
Correct. Putting in mind that this money comes from the national government. Okay. And then at this point that Kenyans are having challenges through the floods, it is very sad to see Council of Governors leading his governors coming out and trying to object that we've not been given money. They have had the money that they had received earlier, and there is normally an allocation for emergency. So what have they done as far as the funds for emergency is concerned? And it gives us a concern because I'm happy, like my colleague Senator Onyonka sits in the park. And then we await because we realize during our audit, these are some of the questions we come and raise and questions. And that is why as senators, we speak confidently and say it is wrong for the kind of leadership in this country whereby different leaderships are wanting to come out and showcase their muscles, not telling us, the governors should come out and tell us, this is what we budgeted for, this is what we set aside as far, this is what we planned for. And maybe it is not enough, or we planned less because maybe what is needed right now, it is much more, you know. That is what each and every governor should be telling us. I'm happy with the governor for Wajir. We were able to see, he went out of his way and was able to plan and was able to provide what is needed in terms of the medicine, in terms of the food, and all that, in terms of what is needed during the emergency period. Then why are the other governors not doing the same? We should not see Anne Waiguru coming out and defending and saying we've not received money. Kenyans are suffering. He should be leading and showing that this is what we have and this is what we've been able to do. It's not enough, but then how do you budget? Red Cross has come in. I want to agree with Senator Mungatana when he says there should be equal distribution because we are all Kenyans. And these funds, we all pay taxes. These services should be equally distributed to every Kenyan. So the kind of, we are actually in the first year of this leadership. Yeah. This should not be happening. There should be responsibility. We give governors money, even if there are challenges of late disbursement, but money has been issued. What have they done? Actually, now we as the Senate, then we will question further in terms of where are the funds. They are setting aside funds. In the other committee that I sit, that is the County Investment Committee, actually we are in the stage of looking into the special funds that county governments are setting aside. And then what are they doing? Because we're also noting and realizing this is where money is looted in the name of money being set aside. But because we know very well that they have obligation to set emergency funds, let us see what those emergency funds have been able to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Onyonka, do you agree with that? Because you sit in park. So is that where the problem is, that this money could just be misused because of the name emergency fund?
I'm just hoping it doesn't become like the other COVID-19 funding. Yeah. You saw the stories that came out of that where amounts of money were being shared, distributed, misused, abused, and wasted by many of the county governments and indeed many other outfits. I hope that the disorganization you see, the disagreements you see in public, from the Council of Governors and from the national government, of course, representing the national government is the deputy president. I hope that by now, given that the rains are really pouring, that the president would have the audacity, for example, to set up an emergency committee. That's what most countries do at the national level, a coordinating committee. I remember when we were having such a problem again, time back, I can't remember exactly when, Naomi Shaban was actually the minister who was in charge of emergency funding and emergency management, and she did a brilliant job. Yeah. Can we have the presidency, because it's the responsibility of the presidency, get teams and individuals who are going to be having preparedness in terms of making sure that the areas where floods are basically overwhelming the communities, where you have mudslides, where you have blockages, like my colleagues have said, we need to have these helicopters being distributed, particularly the way I look at it, for every county or for every region. We can go to the 8 regions, so that if there is any emergency, for example, in Nyanza, you can have a helicopter which is stationed in Kisumu, so that when the chiefs and other people are reporting and saying there are people who are this, we should have inflatable boats which are already set up in the regions, so that when there is excess water and excess calamity that is happening, you have the immediate interventions and the government involves itself.
Yeah.
And I keep coming back to this same point again, Trevor. The KK government, and indeed I wish I wasn't going to say it this way, the government at some point, Kenyans at some point, need to come together as a team. When you have an emergency like this, we shouldn't be quarreling.
Correct.
It should actually be a bipartisan engagement, where all sides, people of goodwill in this country, people of good faith, my colleagues here, they know what we are always going through in terms of how money is distributed, revenue allocation, what is happening to the management of this money. I mean, you are dealing with such a complex issue. Can the government take control, set up a team that is going to coordinate? There are people, some of them who are retired, who want to do this stuff voluntarily.
Yeah.
Some of them don't need to be paid. There are people in this country who have worked with the Red Cross, like the former boss of Red Cross, the wonderful man. Abbas. That is somebody they can bring back from retirement and say, look, help us here, you have a new team, but you have this experience. What do we do? I mean, that's how governments run.
Okay.
But when you have a deputy president who's making an announcement that money has been sent to the county government, and immediately after that, you have members of the Council of Governors, including the chairperson, saying that money has not come, you can see there's a disconnect and there's a problem.
But is there a proper accountability of the emergency fund from when the investigations that you...
Under the funding of county governments, there's a percentage of emergency funding which is actually budgeted for every year. That money is always allocated. And what happens is that as the money is being allocated and as the money is expected to be utilized, what normally happens with the county government is that when there is no emergency, then that money is reallocated into other things. How I wish that after such an event, and we are always having these things, it takes about 5 years, 10 years, 5 years, we need to be prepared. We need to have, I can tell you, my county in Kisii, most probably, not probably, actually for sure, we have only one truck that is supposed to be managing a fire if we had any, and it is dysfunctional. Doesn't run, doesn't have water, doesn't, most probably, I was told yesterday that the truck doesn't have, I think, a spare part that may cost 20,000 or something like that. It's never been fixed.
Tell me about it.
All right, this is not just an event in Kisii County. This is how it is nationally.
Yes.
Trevor, today, if I had an apartment collapsing, which is 10 floors, because those ones exist in Kisii County, in Kisii Town, if that apartment collapsed, I have no way of even sitting to explain to you how do you begin to lift the boulders off that collapsed building so that we can save the people who are going to be buried down there. There's nothing. There's no team. If I told you today, have you ever seen a team in Kisii County that is either at Kisii Stadium being trained, being explained? Do we have sniffer dogs? We don't. Do we have experts? We don't. So everything is on autopilot, but we assume like we are prepared for all this stuff. We just need to be proactive. We need to be organized, and we need to be, there are certain things we should never politicize. The issue like this one, if the vice president, if deputy president says money has been sent, please, let's make sure the money has been sent. Governors, if you have received the money, say the truth. If you haven't, like they did yesterday, let them say the truth. I think we just need to begin holding each other accountable. And that is the way we can change the country.
And Mungatana, and this is where the issue is. Is it a matter of having, being held accountable, or is it a matter of being held between a rock and a hard place? Because the governors say that most of the expenditure is recurrent. And if the money doesn't come on time, so they're always just back, there's a lot of backlog. They have to pay loans that they took sometimes. So they're not able to do certain development issues. Is that a position that is viable, or is it that they've simply just mismanaged the counties?
I think I would take a similar position to what my colleague Onyonka has said, because it's a question of mismanagement.
At the county level? At
the county level, and lack of planning. You see, we were told there was going to be El Nino.
Yes.
Very much earlier on, Okay, so there was time for us to adjust. Later on, we were told, no, it is downgraded to a lot of rain. Whether or not the position was full El Nino, half El Nino, quarter El Nino, you as a governor who watches the daily news, you must have been aware that this is coming. Whether it is a lot or small, it is coming. I mean, that is why you can hear Senator Mutinda here telling us in Nairobi, they planned, and we don't have now the drain blockages, South Sea, flooding everywhere. We don't have it this year, and there's a lot of rain. And in our place, we also have some reasonable, because there was foreseeability, some reasonable forward planning. We may not have done much, we could do more. I think the governor of Tana River could do more, but at least you can see they were prepared, you know, somehow. When the things came, they were prepared. Now, we have an allocation as a county, and all other counties have allocations, including the one for emergency. So it's a question of planning. You as the CEO of the county, you need to have known, because of the foreseeability of a lot of rain, then you plan for it. Yeah, like what has been said and what is being proposed, suspend development project. Even if you are entering into the recurrent, so long as you are not touching salaries, you can enter into other, like travels and what. You can enter into those, suspend everything, remove them, reallocate the resources. You can get the county assemblies come to regularize that expenditure, maybe if you had not planned for it. The only caution that I would like to say, in fact, as senators, and we would be watching this, is that we do not want a repeat of medicine
COVID.
That is, a repeat of COVID. That medicine that is supposed to be bought for, say, 100 shilling a sachet, then we are told it was bought for 1,000 shillings. A bag of maize, which is supposed to be bought for this much, 10 times more. We do not want this disaster to be used as a way of enrichment. And I want to appeal to our governors across the country that EACC this time has sent a letter out early warning that you do not embezzle public funds. They've said that do not sidestep procurement procedures.
Yes.
Please, even if you're going to have to do direct procurement, or you're going to do whatever other methods that are available because of the situation, do not do things outside the law. EACC has already sent that warning. And we, as senators, we are also saying, we are waiting for you. If something goes wrong, we will be waiting for you. And we do not want people to come and say it is politics, or some senators want to be governors and so on. We will hang you dry, because we will expose all the thievery. We don't want public money to be utilized badly. So do your planning, but we are here to say with EACC that please, this is public money. Don't enrich yourself on the account of this suffering of the people.
All right, Mutinda, close for us this conversation. Now, going forward, there's also what Mugatana is talking about, emergency procurement, which still will happen because there is an emergency. How then do we ensure that it is watertight in such a way that funds are not embezzled at the county level and the people are not left to suffer for too long with the claim that there's bureaucracy on what we can do and what we can't do within our limited time?
Let me just say, we are ready. As Senate, we are so ready, and will be more watchful and more keen during the audit process, especially on these emergency funds for El Nino. Kenyans will not die, and then when we are auditing the governors, then you come and they start trying to justify on the sort of the funny expenditures, as Senator Mugatana has put it, in terms of the exemplary costs that have been there. So Trevor, let me tell you, we will be watchful. So as they keep on shouting and say, oh, we did not receive money, no problem, they will receive if they've not received. But during our audit processes, we will be keen And this one we would want to involve each and every senator of each and every county so that we get to the bottom of this animal of where funds are normally diverted. Let me go back to the issue that I've talked about, Nairobi. Nairobi, Governor Sakaja had employed 1,000 youths earlier who opened up this drainage. Then I ask, why can't the governor for Mombasa try and use a similar formula to just employ temporarily casual youths who are out here who have no jobs, to give them even an opportunity to try and open this drain, because that is one of the biggest problems we have in this country as far as drainage issues are concerned. So why can't he even fast? Because he has that capacity. He can be able to do that. But we see them coming out and trying it to make it like a Kenya Kwanza Azimio issue. These floods are affecting all of us as Kenyans. It is not an Azimio issue. It is not a Kenya Kwanza issue. It is an issue for all of us as Kenyans. And I want to add and say, we should even approach it from a multi-sectoral approach of resources, whereby even the like the NYS can come in, the military can come in and have their input and try and help in this particular situation. That is what we should be seeing. That is the collectiveness, that is what is needed. And it really annoys us, especially, let me tell you, from where I sit as the Vice Chair of Finance Committee, I've asked governors who have appeared before my committee. At times I ask them, governors, do you really feel that you need more money? Yeah. If the money that you have, we have the issues of the pending bills. We have the issues that we are seeing today. Yeah. And you wake up and say, we have no fund. Even the little that you have, that is why it is called an emergency fund. What are you doing? Do you really need more funds? In the year 2025, we should be allocating and changing the amount of figures in DORA in the year 2025. But then I ask, do you really need this national government share? Why then you don't you go and do and focus on the on-source revenue, so that you feel the pain? You are relaxed, you are waiting for money from the national government. The complaint that you hear, yes, late disbursement and all, but even the little that you get, where is your priority? Okay. First, putting the life of the Mwananchi on the front, instead of coming and using the media all the time to try and make it. Kenyans are tired of that. Okay. Are tired of the fights between leaders from this level to this level. People want to see action. All right. The money that the governors have, get out, use it. And another thing before I forget, Trevor, we are seeing governors whereby they want to be everything. They want to be even nurses, they want to be doctors, they want to be the accountants. They are deciding from where they are sitting in terms of, this is what is going to be paid today, this medicine will be here, this will not be here. What are the CECs? Why are the CECs in these counties? Then what is their role? Let the governor do their CEO job, and let the other teams in terms of the CECs, the MCAs, let everybody do their part. And that is why we keep on seeing these wars in the counties, and they think the senators want to tomorrow wake up and go and take their positions. We are not interested. We have our current positions, and we are going to execute our mandate as per our roles and require. Okay, I have to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, now we talk about the National Dialogue Committee. They're supposed to give their final report on Saturday. That's about a day from now. We'll see if it captures the aspirations of Kenyans. That coming up in just a bit. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. See you in a bit.